So do you hit your head? In this video, I'm going to talk about autism and self-harm. All that's coming up. Hey guys, welcome back to the TheAspieWorld. My name is Dan. I have autism, ADHD, OCD and dyslexia, and I make weekly videos on this type of content. So if you're new around here and you'd like to learn more about that subject, please hit that subscribe button by clicking the notification bell down below so you don't miss a video. And if you're watching over on Facebook, be sure to give this page a like and a follow to see more videos just like this one. Oh yeah. Okay guys, so I wanted to do this video for a long time, but I didn't know how to do this video, and I was planning on thinking about all of that and thinking, oh, should I do, this type of video? I'll talk about this and do studies. And I thought, well, look, why don't I do a sit down video just like this, talk directly for you and basically, tell you my personal experience with, self-harm, autism self-harm, and hitting myself in the head and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to get into that right now, but before I do that, I'm going to ask you to go to my Instagram, Twitter, TikTok and Facebook and give me a follow, because I always put content on those channels and the content is different to what it is on here. So if you want more content and juicy, awesome, cool stuff, please go over to those social platforms and give me a follow. And also I read all my DMs on those platforms. So if you want to reach out to me, Instagram and Twitter are the best way to do that. So head over there right now. You guys are awesome. Okay, so hitting your head. Now there is a name for hitting your head and I can't for the life of me remember what it's called, but there is a technical term for someone who hits himself in the head. And I remember when I was going through my autism assessment diagnosis process, one of the things that the assessors asked is if I did anything like self-harm or hit myself, and I said, yeah, I hit myself in the head all the time. And I said, well, how? And then I said, well, like this, I hit myself in the head with my arms like this, and I punched my head. And they wanted to know the specific of how I did it, which was really interesting, because like there's a difference between hitting your head like this and hitting your head like that in terms of where that stems from, I'm guessing, in their eyes. So I was like really taken by this, and I found that really fascinating. So I thought it's time to do a video on it. Okay, so way before I had medication for my anger management and other things, which come delightfully with having an autism spectrum condition, I was susceptible to huge meltdowns, and I used to get huge meltdowns quite often. I get maybe 1 or 2 a week, which was horrible, and it was even more horrible for my girlfriend at the time to see me go through those as well. And anybody who relates to meltdowns, they really hit home and they're really hard, and it's hard to it's distressing to have the meltdown, and it's hard to come back from that meltdown, and then you feel like you let yourself down, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes with it. Give me a thumbs up if you know exactly what I mean. I love you, I feel you, I'm with you. So I used to get so involved in a meltdown that like my body would just kind of like just lash out, like everything would just I'd rage. It's like an emotional outpour of rage, and I'd like hit myself in the head, and but constantly I just hit myself in the head, and this would be horrendous. I've had like loads of lumps and bumps on my head, and I actually had a different kind of like headaches and lumps and stuff because of like hitting myself in the head, which isn't good, and it's really distressing to talk about. And I despise it, every time it happened I would always feel really bad. Like I try my best to not do it, but it's almost like an impulse, like it's like a knee-jerk reaction. I just hit myself, and I was always feeling really down about that. But apparently this is something that is potentially common with people in the autism spectrum. Now if you're relating to all the stuff I'm talking about so far, pop me a comment in the comment section below and let me know if you do this, yes or no. Do you hit yourself in the head? I want to know, because I want to know how common or not this is, and it'd be really interesting to see that feedback, and I read and respond to every single one. So it's valuable. Everything you say to me is valuable, and I take it on board 100%. Everything you guys say, I read everyone. So you're never missed. You're awesome, and I read everyone. I'm not like those other YouTubers who ignore their comments. But when I'm thinking about this whole like this whole hit myself on the head thing, do I see it as self-harm? Now when I think of the words self-harm, I feel like people cutting themselves, or like using knives, or self-inflicted torture with like knives or something, or burning themselves or something, which is an interesting thing to talk about, because self-harm is quite a destructive and sensitive topic. I know there's a bunch of charities like To Right Love on Our Arms and things like that who are helping people through self-harm, and I'm going to try and include links to self-harm help websites down below if you are suffering from self-harm. you know, I want to be able to make sure that you guys are being looked after and you have good access to resources. And so basically, I would never really hit myself in the head as self-harm. But then when you think about it, if you think about self-harm is the act of kind of like almost like self-destruction. You know, you go into self-destruction mode and you're doing those things to yourself. Now, there are different driving triggers for self-harm. Like, you know, if you think about self-harm, it's usually a mental health issue that people are going through, and, you know, it stems from a mental health condition, and they're doing it to express themselves emotionally through a mental health, you know, episode. When you think of hitting yourself in the head during an autism meltdown, this is almost like an emotional knee-jerk reaction that's outside of the control of the person who's doing it. And so it's kind of like, I don't want to hit myself in the head. That's not what I want to do. I don't want to inflict harm on myself. So that is technically me not wanting to do it, but it's kind of like automatic. It just happens. But with self-harm, a lot of the time the people do that to have some sort of release. I know it's a difficult topic and sensitive topic to talk about, so I don't know the ins and outs, because I don't know many people who've gone through that, and the people I do know who've gone through that actual self-harm, I give them my support and my friendship, and I don't ask too many questions because it's none of my business at the end of the day. So you know, I'm not going to go ins and outs because I don't know the answers. To be totally honest with you, I don't know, and I don't want to say something that may be offensive to somebody. I don't want to say something that would be difficult for people to understand. And so I'm going to not really go into the details about the reasons for self-harm, but when I'm trying to think about hitting yourself in the head, do I think that is self-harm? I don't know, and the question is kind of out in the open. I would say on one hand, no, because hitting myself in the head is a meltdown kind of reaction, and it's this outburst, and it's horrible, because then I'm left feeling with like a throbbing head, and then I feel let down, like I let myself down by actually doing this. And then you think, well, how did it come to this? How have I done this, you know? And then on the other hand, you go, well, it's actually self-inflicting pain and harm to oneself, and so that in itself is self-harm. And so it does beg that question, is it self-harm? I don't know. And, you know, I want to be totally honest, I have been taking medication now since February, March time, to help with my anger management, to help with my sleep, to help with my ADHD, and help with my moods as well, because my moods were quite erratic, they were up and down, and this is very, very common, and especially at the time of year, and especially in winter, my moods dip a lot because I get the season affected disorder for winter. I kind of start getting a bit more depressed in winter, and my anxiety levels are actually higher, so I'm more susceptible to meltdowns. But since taking my medication, it's actually done a lot for me, where I haven't had any meltdowns where I hit myself in the head. No, actually I've had one meltdown where I hit myself in the head, considering that this used to happen twice a week, and it's now August, so from February to August I've only done it like once, which is just absolutely remarkable. So I'm really happy that the medication is going well, and that my body's responding really well to it. Even though I'm kind of one of these people that I would rather not have medication, I'd rather figure out an alternative, because I'm like, you know, I'm like a vegan and I take supplements and I'm like a health guy. But at the end of the day, if it works, you know, and nobody should ever be, you know, shamed for taking medication, because at the end of the day, you got to look after your health, and if medication's the answer, medication's the answer. So for me right now, I'm not currently experiencing too much of hitting myself in the head anymore, and it's been like 30 years of hitting myself to kind of come out the other end, like, whoa, this is what it's like to, you know, have a meltdown and not actually hit myself, or this is what it's like to experience that part of life and not actually hit myself. So I'm really happy that I don't hit myself, but at the same time, it's still a potential there, you know, the potential is still there. It has happened. I'm not saying it's completely gone, but I'd love to know, do you have any tactics, do you have any techniques, any frameworks that you work with to overcome hitting yourself or self-harm? And if you are wanting to reach out to anybody and talk to this community about self-harm, you're more than happy to in the comments below. If you feel like a problem shared is a problem halved in a situation, but also no pressure. Don't do it if you don't want to. I just want to let you know that this community and everybody watching this video, you guys are amazing, and you always have great things to say, and you're always very supportive of the commenters and other people who are going through hard times, so thank you so much for that. So I want to know, do you guys hit yourself in the head or do you not? And do you think it's self-harm or do you not think it's self-harm? Pop it in a comment down below, read and respond to every single one. That would be dope. If you think this video can help somebody else, please share it on your social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter and wherever else you think this would go well. And on that note, guys, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.